Hey guys, it's Vince G. So today I wanted to talk about another one of my favorite lenses, and that is the Panasonic Lumix S Pro 50mm 1.4. So I've had this lens for almost a year now, and I've been shooting it both professionally and personally, and it is by far one of the best lenses that I've ever used and ever owned, period. So there's a lot of good things I wanted to talk about this, so let's dive into that. So when talking about this lens, it is a pretty hefty and heavy, but very well built lens. Starting out with the weight, it comes in at 2.1 pounds, which is pretty heavy for a 50mm. The lenses I feel for mirrorless have gotten a lot lighter, and that's why people switched over, but this one's almost as heavy as some of the DSLR lenses, but that's a whole nother topic and a whole other deal. So you're getting 13 different elements in 11 different groups. So that's a lot of glass, which contributes to all that weight into this lens. As far as the aperture goes, you're getting 11 rounded aperture blades. So you're going to be getting some of the creamiest and very nice bokeh out of this lens. As far as the filter thread goes, you're getting a 77mm filter size thread, which is nice because the Panasonic 24 to 105 f4 has the exact same size. And whenever I need a variable ND filter, I only have one 77mm, and I just switch them out between the two. And it also keeps the weight down in my bag, which is really nice. As far as your minimum focus distance, you're going to be getting about 1.4 feet, which is not too good for macro photography, but I don't believe this lens is going to be made for that. This is mainly going to be used for portraiture, where this really shines. So still on the topic of the exterior of this lens, it has some of my favorite features, starting out with the aperture ring. So it has this really nice aperture ring that is adjustable in 0.3 stop increments. It starts at 1.4 all the way to f16. The unfortunate part about that is that it is clicked, and there is no option to unclick it. So if you're doing any type of video work, you might want to use the dial on the camera to set your aperture. If you wanted to set your aperture automatically, there is an A on this lens, so all you gotta do is switch it to A, and the camera will do the aperture adjustments on its own. So the other good thing about this lens is that it has a focus clutch. So all you gotta do is just pull the manual focus clutch down, and you can manually focus this lens with no problem. You have nice little measurements on the inside of the lens itself, so you know exactly where you're focusing this lens. Now, the unfortunate part is that it is still focused by wire, but Panasonic included a non-linear and linear options inside of the Lumix S series cameras. So there is some workarounds on some of the bad parts of this lens, but I think the bodies make up for all the bad things that they did, like the focus by wire and the clicks. So just keep that in mind if you're doing any type of video work. So the last thing I wanted to talk about the outside of this lens is that it is dust and splash resistant due to the rubber gasket on the outside of the lens itself. So when you pair it with the S1, S1R, and the S1H, those are weather resistant bodies as well, so it'll make a really nice pairing if you're using this outside. So before I actually talk about my opinion on the image quality, I'm going to go ahead and show you some examples of using this lens and the Panasonic Lumix S1R. So let's take a look at those. So now that you've seen those examples, let me know what you think of the image quality in the comment section down below. As far as my opinion goes, I believe that the S Pro 50mm 1.4 is by far some of the best imagery that I've ever had from any lens, and that goes for Sigma, Sony, Fuji, Canon, any lenses that I've used. I believe this lens tops it. I really can't speak anything bad about it. From edge to edge, I get sharpness if I need it to. The center focus is always, fantastically sharp. I can go on and on about the good things that this lens provides me. So I should also mention that this lens is certified by Leica. So the quality of imagery is at the toppest level of perfection in the camera industry. And I've just been absolutely floored what I've been able to get out of this lens. So let's talk about autofocus. Now, when you talk about Panasonic and autofocus, they usually don't go hand in hand. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the autofocus system in the 50mm 1.4 is pretty quick. Panasonic gave it a dual focusing system. They gave it both a stepping motor and a linear motor. So the autofocus that you're getting out of this, when paired with the Panasonic Lumix S1R or an S1, you're going to be getting some pretty quick and accurate autofocusing with this lens. Now, in photography aspect, I've never really had an issue. I always have it in eye autofocus tracking, and it's always done me pretty well. Now, when it comes to video, that's a completely different side. I usually don't shoot autofocus when I'm shooting video. I always throw it in manual focus. That way I know for sure what I'm focused on. But people work different ways. If you want to see some video autofocusing examples, I'll go ahead and leave some links in the description down below. That way you can make some judgment calls of your own. So wrapping up this video, the Panasonic Lumix S Pro 50mm 1.4 is a fantastic lens. Now, the downside of this is that it is $2,300. Now, do I think that it is worth $2,300? Yeah. Out of everything that this lens has given me, I have been it has exceeded my expectations of what a 50mm 1.4 is. Yes, it's heavy, and yes, it's very, thick and bulky, but like I said, it fits perfectly with the S system. The autofocus is fast. It has weather sealing. The 1.4, the separation, and all the glass that's in this lens is fantastic. I really can't say enough good things about this lens. Now, I know that $2,300 is a lot to purchase brand new, but you may be able to find it a little bit cheaper on the used market, so be on the lookout for that. But that wraps up this video and really everything I have to say about it. If you have any questions, feel free to drop those questions in the comment section down below. I'll be happy to answer any of those for you. If you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and I appreciate you guys watching. Again, my name is Vince G. We'll catch you guys next time.